gonna sound so bad.
Do it. Go
Can't
on.
even.
My father left when I was a year and a half old.
It's been very fast. We've only been together a year and I'm about to have his baby.
Do we want to get to a juicy question? Does your partner ever get jealous about your co-parenting?
It's possible to be a crappy husband and a great father. And he's a great father. There has been moments where I have been jealous. If he wants her 50% of the time, then he should have her 50% of the time because he's just as much, you know, the parent as I am.
Our relationship's actually the strongest it's probably ever been in adulthood than it ever was in childhood.
It hasn't been a pleasant co-parenting experience. And you think, oh, I don't want to leave my marriage because I'm going to have to go without my baby. Even though it sucks being without her and I do miss her, he's her father. I love donuts. Pretty sure that's why I have gestational diabetes. I've never done this before.
Oh, I know. It's doesn't come natural, I don't think, to film yourself eating.
No.
Oh. These bowls are the best damn bowls
They look
ever.
so good. Which?
So this is...
Oh, this is nachos.
Yeah, that's
So
nachos.
That's steak, is it?
Yeah.
Chicken.
Churros, so one of those each. Then we've got some chipolatas.
We got some tacos too.
Yes.
And some donuts. We're all set.
We're all set. And please excuse the fact that I have a much larger cup than Courtney because
She wouldn't let me get a large.
No, because I had Mountain Dew freeze. And then we had dramas. We got home and there was no nachos and we can't have a Mexican feast without the nachos. So Elle went to go get it and by the time he came back, it was just a pile of yellow drink and it just looked silly. So I got Elle's drink. Yeah, so we've got a feast from Taco Bell today. Would it be
excited.
a mukbang series without the Taco Bell making an appearance? We've got some chippies, like I said. I think we've already pretty much talked about what we've got today, so we won't need to go through that again. But do let us know what you get from Taco Bell because I love hearing recommendations of things. Today I am joined by the lovely Courtney from Courtney'S Chaos on YouTube, and if you don't follow her, you should. She's a fabulous vlogger. Pardon?
Why, thank you.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm sorry, I was rustling while you talked. She's got a wonderful family who is actually a blended family, which is what we're going to be discussing today. And she's expecting her first baby.
Second baby.
Oh, sorry, I was going to say first baby with you and Luke.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So I will leave Courtney's channel linked down below. You should go check her vlogging channel out. Do you do every day? I've sort of noticed that you're vlogging
Monday,
quite
Wednesday,
a lot
Friday.
at the moment. Okay.
And then on the extra video during the week is my bump dates. Because I'm doing weekly bump dates, so 4 videos a week at the moment. Yeah.
That's a lot of content. And we were talking before about how much time goes into it. So that and being a mum, you're smashing goals.
Thank you.
Of course. So we put questions out on both of our Instagram. I will also leave those down below if you want to go and check us out over there. But we both asked what you guys wanted to know about blended families / co-parenting. So we're going to go through those questions today. And of course, if you guys want to be included in future episodes, then go over there and we will pop a questions box out in future. Also, I haven't introduced myself yet this series. So my channel is kakieslife, but my name is actually Katie for those of you who might be new to here.
I was actually married to my ex-husband for a few years and he ended up getting deployed and our marriage broke down for so many different reasons. If you follow my channel, you know. You know the struggles, you understand. But basically we ended up splitting up and I had no intentions of dating. I had no intentions of looking for love or anything like that. It's not something I felt I needed. I'd been on my own for a year because he'd been deployed and I wasn't looking. I was looking for fun, but I wasn't looking for love. That is why Tinder's for fun, right?
Heck yeah.
Anyway,
You've got to get out there after a long relationship.
Yeah, especially when you've been alone a year and you've got some cobwebs down there.
Love that.
So I joined Tinder and that's how I met my current fiance, Luke. And I don't know how to explain our love. It's been very fast. We've only been together a year and I'm about to have his baby.
When you know it's right though. And
when you know it. When you know, you know. Yeah, that's just how. Anyway, so met my current partner. He already has 2 kids to a previous marriage as well. His story's a bit different to mine, but I won't go into that. But he has 2 kids. She's now 10 and 6-year-old boy. Mm-hmm. So he has a 10-year-old girl and a 6-year-old boy.
Okay.
And I have a 2-year-old. At the time, she was only 14 months old, so she wasn't even walking, so she was basically a baby.
Yeah.
So I met this guy. Within 6 weeks, we had moved in together. So that seems like really fast, but it has felt right the whole time. We've been together a year now, and it's perfect. Like, he's my person. Mm-hmm. So we now have 3 kids between the two of us, and this is our first baby together. So we're going to end up with 4 kids, but only one of them is a shared baby. So that is our situation now. Luke has his kids 50% of the time.
And that would have been quite interesting too, coming from a blended family with both of you having kids, to introduce to each other and to get to know each other, because it's kind of like extra hard, I would imagine. I mean, I haven't been through that situation where there's ones from each side.
Now we're a blended family and we live under the one roof.
And that's so nice to hear. And how did that like transition go? Because obviously, as you said, it was only sort of 6 weeks. Did the kids get to meet you before you moved in? And
yeah, so I met the kids on Father's Day last year, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So almost a year ago.
Yeah. Well, yeah, almost a year ago, I guess. But when you know, and like introducing my daughter to him, like to a new partner, was something that I hadn't planned on doing, but I also I didn't plan on meeting the love of my life either. So it was like, yeah.
But those are the best times too, like the things that you don't plan and just kind of happen, like fate has it already planned for you.
The transition was just, he's got such good kids.
Yeah.
The transition was great. I was really concerned about Talia because she at that point just wouldn't be around anyone other than me, especially men. She was petrified of them. Wouldn't go, anyone even looked at her and she would cry. So I was really, really concerned about that. But once I introduced them, she kind of started to cry a little bit, and then he sat down, he was like, oh, look at these toys, and he started playing with her, and
which comes from experience with kids.
Yeah, well, he's got 2 kids, but it was just crazy to watch.
So good. Oh my god.
All of it's good.
Sorry. But yes,
But yeah, no, it all went really smoothly. Both our kids meshed really well. They're just perfect. They call each other brother and sisters, and Lily and Jet refer to me as their stepmom when anyone asks.
How does Luke's ex feel about that?
I'm not sure I don't know the extent of what she knows.
Okay.
But I don't think she has a problem with it. Initially, when we first started dating, I don't think she saw me as a long-term thing.
Yeah.
And so there was a little bit of issues in the beginning because we did move so fast. I can understand where she's coming from.
I was going to say, if I was the mum in the situation, I'd probably feel like, 6 weeks?
Yeah.
But
so
from your
totally
perspective, I get it too.
So, yeah, there was some friction in the beginning, but it's all good now, and we're fine now. We're all amicable, and we all, on Luke's ex's partner side of things, it's really...
and she probably feels more comfort that you're... Like, she's seen that you're a mum, and...
Yeah.
And how that you are with the kids, and...
And my life is on YouTube. If she has any concerns, she can just go watch my videos,
well,
which
I
I'm
was going
pretty
to
sure she
ask
does.
you that. How does she feel about the kids being on YouTube?
Oh yeah, she wasn't okay with it first because, like I said, that's where the friction started. She was like, oh, you don't even know this person. She's probably not going to be around for very long. Why would you put our kids in her videos? Yeah. I can see where she's coming from. But at the same time, I had to stop filming and putting out content because his kids are a big part of my life, and I didn't want to film around them and kind of feel like I'm hiding things from my subscribers. So I kind of just stopped vlogging a whole lot. And it wasn't until we got more comfortable with each other and we'd been together for a long time that we were like, okay, it's time now. Like we've been together for a while, and the
reintroduce.
It's all fine now.
Well, that's so great that she's like okay with that now, and that side of it's changing. Yeah. Missy Tara 2804, thanks for your question, asks, custody schedules, how has it changed as the child got older?
As Talia? From my, as
I would assume so, or maybe like Luke's kids, maybe.
Okay, so I'll do both. I'll just cover both. But Luke's kids have been 50-50 from the day they split.
Okay.
Jet was 2 or 3, 2.5, I think, when they split up.
Okay.
And they've been 50-50 the whole time. So, and it hasn't changed. That's still the same. It's, 4 years later and they're still 50-50.
Right.
Talia's situation's a bit different because he was away for the first year of her life and then he came back and he was kind of like a stranger to her. We did FaceTime, but it's not the same. So we had to introduce her a little bit slower. So it was like every other weekend, which is still a lot for someone who didn't know him. Now, I know that I've been told from the child consultants, but it was every other weekend and then it turned into every other Thursday, Friday, Saturday, hand back on Sunday. And now we're transitioning into him getting her, how many days is that? So he'll have her 5 nights a fortnight. Which is, we're aiming to eventually end up 50-50. We're just slowly getting there as she's still quite young.
Yeah.
Yeah. But eventually she'll be 50-50 too. And hope we're going to line it up with the kids so that they all go on the same day and they all come home on the same day.
And I think that's varies, case to case too, because I didn't mention my story at the start, but I can relate to this topic too because I come from a blended family. So my father left when I was a year and a half old, one night in the night, just disappeared.
Really?
Yeah. And my mum ended up back with her high school sweetheart, who's now my stepdad and the father of my brother and sister. So when my dad came into, I call him my dad, so I don't call him my stepdad. When my dad came into our lives, it was just me in the picture, and my mum was working full-time and my dad was working full-time, so there was no kids from my dad's side. There's none of that having to like blend really, because I was so young that I don't remember any of it. Like I just remember him being my dad from the start.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure is now going to be different for Talia because obviously her dad's a part of her life, but she probably also won't remember not being without Luke too.
No, she won't. Or the kids.
Yeah, so for me it's slightly different, and I think, in latter life, Mum has now been divorced from my stepdad and with another partner, and she had a couple of other partners before that that we had to get used to and adjust to. And they didn't have kids, and that was a big adjustment. I almost felt resentment because they didn't understand that we needed that time with my mum and that side of it. Yeah, so blended families, I think it's so case to case, and every single family is so different with how they adjust. But yeah, in relation to what this person's talking about with time of custody, my real father got 0 custody because he just disappeared and then suddenly reappeared years later asking for like time with me and all of that sort of stuff.
Do you have a relationship with him?
Not now, no. He approached my mum with like saying that he wanted to see me and yada yada yada, and Mum outside of the court system decided to let that happen. And from a child of that, there was multiple situations where I was left in uncomfortable positions, and I won't go into depth with it, but it's scarred me for life, which is why I have anxiety and depression and things like that from things that happened when I was in his care or under his care.
Really?
Yeah. And for personal reasons, I don't think I've fully come to terms with it all yet, which is why I don't really want to go sharing about it. Maybe I will one day, who knows. But it just speaks volume of his immaturity and his character, which is why you can never be too careful when you're sending your child off to the other parent without knowing fully that you trust that person. Like with Elliot, if anything, God forbid, touch wood, doesn't happen, but if anything happened between our marriage or anything like that, I know 100% that I could trust that his intentions would be right. He's a fantastic father. Which is why I was okay going into a marriage with him and having children with him, because regardless of the love we had, I knew that our children would be safe. Which is the most important thing, because and my mum didn't know. Like, I never told her what happened and stuff like that, because...
Does she watch your channel?
I don't think so, actually. Okay. I think she occasionally does. But I've told her since, like, what's happened and stuff, in the
okay.
past, so she knows. This is a good one. So Stacey Gorman asks, what do you enjoy the most about co-parenting?
To be honest, co-parenting with my ex-husband has not been easy.
Okay.
I don't even think I could pick something that I enjoy about co-parenting. We're still finding our feet in the way of communicating and just co-parenting in general, to be honest with you. So it hasn't been a pleasant co-parenting experience from, I think.
Do you think a positive in your situation might be that he's actually interested in doing it, actually wanting the time with her?
Yeah. That's not something on my end. That's not his thing. But obviously it was a different scenario with him being away for the first year of it was very touch and go. I didn't know how interested he would be. I know he's a great father and I had no doubts about sending her there. Otherwise I wouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
Especially weekends at a time when it had just been me and her. He's a great father. He's a great person. I have no doubts on that end. So I guess the thing that if I had to pick something, is that I trust him wholly with our daughter.
That's a great positive.
It's possible to be a crappy husband and a great father. And he's a great father. Even though he wasn't in her life for the first year, she loves going to his house. And I love when I show up to drop her off or he comes to pick her up and she goes, Daddy! And she runs to him. I love it.
But he wasn't in her life because of work, wasn't it?
It was his job.
Yeah, so it wasn't like he chose to not be there, in a way, but
Well, the first 6 months was not a choice. It was a deployment. And then the next 6 months, it was if you want to be with your family, you need to leave your job or really push for this transfer. And that's a whole other story. And he didn't push for it and he didn't leave his job. He chose his job over us, basically. And ultimately, it broke our marriage down and we split up. But I have that's what I enjoy. I love it when she goes, Daddy, and she runs up to him. It makes me feel good about leaving her there. Yeah. Because in the first initial few months, she would cry and scream and cling at me and I would just sit on the couch and cry because I didn't know whether that was an indication of how she's treated at his house because she can't talk yet. Yeah. So
well, it's the same as daycare, isn't it? Really, when you leave them, it's
well, I haven't done daycare yet, but yeah. So I enjoy now that she's built a relationship with him. She loves going there, and I love seeing her. I love it when she goes, Daddy, Daddy, Daddy. When I tell her, she loves it, and I do love that. That's my favorite part about co-parenting.
And what about blended families?
It's gonna sound so bad.
Do it. Go on.
Can't even. I love the fact that because we're a blended family and we have kids with other people, Luke and I get time with just us. So it's so rare as a couple with kids to get any time together. Yeah. But we get a full 2 or 3 days where it's just us. Talia's at her father's house and Luke's kids are at their mother's house. And it's just us. That doesn't happen.
That is so good.
It's so, I mean, obviously we miss our kids, but it's so good to have been able to
positive in the situation.
Yeah. And we can build our relationship based on that. And then we also have our family unit when they come home. So we get the best of both worlds. And it probably sounds scary to a lot of people especially if you're in a relationship with kids. And you think, I don't want to leave my marriage because I'm going to have to go without my baby. It's scary. And it did scare me to begin with. But what got me through that was he's just as much her parent as I am. Yeah. And I have no right to be like, no, you can't see. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So it was if he wants her 50% of the time, then he should have her 50% of the time because he's just as much, the parent as I am. So even though it sucks being without her and I do miss her, he's her father. Yeah. And we have chosen not to be together. We've chosen not to be married. Yeah. So it's so important for her to have a good relationship with both of her parents. It's in her best interest to be away from me, to spend time with him because I don't want to spend time with him. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's perfect. Like, that's just how it is, and that's what has to happen for her to have what's best for her.
Yeah. With that being said, we will just mention that earlier we did talk about the fact that you've obviously got guidance and advice on like how much to transition, because like as you said, he's asking for 50-50, but at the moment it's like 5 days a fortnight or something.
Yeah,
like
so at her age, which she's only just turned 2, they don't recommend you do 50-50 in blocks. It's not good for their age, especially considering I'm her primary carer and I have been her whole life. So it's every kid's different too. So this is just the box they put them in and go, this is what is okay.
Yeah.
Every kid's different. Some kids might be able to handle more. Some kids might be able to handle less. Yeah, that's fine.
I'm just going to cut it in half.
Yeah, so we're slowly transitioning her to 50-50. They don't recommend you do 50-50 block until, I think it's like 6 or something insane. But because she handles it so well going to his house, I think she's going to be one of those kids that can handle it earlier. It's just kid by kid basis. You can't just put them all in the same box because every kid is different. Your kid might need longer, might not be ready at 6, might be ready before 6. I think Talia's going to be ready before she loves going there.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Though. This has popping candy on it, can I just say?
Really? I'm going to try some.
And it's got custard filling. What? In the middle of it.
This is the best. I'm glad we picked this one.
Oh my yum.
So good. I love donuts. Pretty sure that's why I have gestational diabetes.
No, don't say that. You do not. Not because of that, anyway. Do we want to get to a juicy question? Shall we go juicy?
Let's do it.
Mads858 asks a juicy question. Do you love your kids more than his?
It does have popping candy. It's popping in my mouth. If you want a blunt answer, the answer is yes.
Yeah.
But it is a different love. It's like you can't love someone else's kids the same way you love your own kids. And I personally, if I'm being completely honest with you, am not a huge fan of kids.
Okay, wow.
And I never have been. I didn't know if I wanted my own.
Right, I was about to ask you that.
I didn't know.
Okay. I'm eating so much food today. Sorry. Can I just say, I'm like shoving everything in. You're just like sitting there.
No. I'm a bit limited though. Yeah, so it was a bit more difficult for me, but you can't love your kids. You can't love someone else's kids the same way you love your own, but I love them to death. Like it's a different love. And it's because I love Luke so much and I see so much of him in them. And like I said before, he's my person and they're his kids. So I love them. It's just a different love to my own because if you have kids, you know, it's this weird...
It's primal.
I've never loved a kid before.
Yeah.
And I was so worried when I was pregnant with Tilly. I was like, how am I going to... I don't like kids. Like, how am I going to love this baby?
Yeah.
And then she was born. I was like, oh my God. It's like you can't... You don't get that, oh my God, I'm so in love with you feeling when you meet someone else's kids.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's just like, it was a gradual growth to building a relationship between us because they're not my kids and I didn't know them. You can't just meet someone random and go, I love you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think I'd be interested to ask my dad this question, but I feel like I, as a kid, could tell the difference slightly. And I'm talking minuscule. But I was 5 when my sister came along. So I was quite, I guess you say, with it. Like as a kid, you'd know at 5, when there's a baby coming in, I knew that he wasn't my real dad. Like Mum was transparent with me the whole time.
Yeah.
So as we got older, I definitely felt... I guess, not a major difference, but I just sort of felt, and it might have been more in my head too, that I'm like, well, he probably loves them more because they're his real kids, you know what I mean?
Really?
But I would be very interested to ask my dad how he feels about, or felt about it, but in adulthood and like now, to this day, it feels like zero difference. Like,
yeah,
as we're adults now, he makes just as much of an effort to travel down for my visits with the kids as much as he does, you know, for them. And obviously us having kids now ourselves, he treats them like they're his own biological grandchildren. And and this is once my mum and him have been divorced. So like that was going to be the biggest test for me, was once I didn't know what that meant for mine and my dad's relationship when mum broke off the marriage. Like I didn't know if dad would then...
Because he's not your biological dad.
No.
Yeah.
So I was like, do you mind if I dip too?
You know, that's why I did
Oh,
the other
perfect.
side. I won't dip again.
Oh, I don't mind. But yeah, I was like, I didn't know what that meant for me and dad. But lo and behold, our relationship's actually the strongest probably ever been in adulthood than it ever was in childhood.
But to answer the question, I just love them differently. It's just a different love. There's no measurement scale. There's no like, this is how much I love Talia and this is like, there's no scale. It's just like, it's just a different love. You can't measure it. It's like, it's like trying to measure kilometers versus the sunshine or something.
Yeah.
It's just, you can't do it. Like,
But
you
also,
probably can.
their biological mum probably wouldn't want you to love them the same, because then that might make her feel less of a mum. Do you know what I mean? Like it just balances out in a way, like I feel like anyway.
But in saying that, my ex-husband has a new partner, and I expect her to treat Talia as though she's her own.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, keep her safe and provide for her, like food.
Make her feel accepted and loved.
Yeah, I want her to feel safe when she's around her.
Yeah.
So I get that as well. I know that Talia's not going to think she's mum, you know what I mean? Because she knows who mum is. I've got no concerns about that. And I'm really thankful that she has a female role model on that side of things as well. So blended families just go way beyond what's in your household. It goes like, she's gone now. She's not in my care anymore. I now am trusting my other partner, like my ex-partner, to look after her and provide for her and trust the people that he introduces to her. You know what I mean? Amanda, I was just messaging her last night. She's so sweet. Amanda Luby asked, do you feel comfortable to discipline Luke's kids? That's a good question.
That's a very good question.
Like I said, I haven't had a whole lot of experience with kids. So what I've learnt on how to discipline kids is what I've seen from Luke. Because that's pretty much it. You know,
Did you have a discussion about it?
Not so much. It was a little bit, I guess. I kind of asked him like, what's the line? How do you discipline, and what's the? He doesn't need to. His kids are great. Like, they're good kids. Yeah. If they were bad, this would be a very different question probably. But they're just good kids in general. So beyond having to speak sternly to them and be like no, I don't have to do any more than that. Yeah. And neither does Luke. Yeah. So like, they're really, really good kids.
So say, for example, they came home with their lunch still in their lunchbox. What would you like? Would you just be like a normal mum and be like, why didn't you eat your lunch today? You're going to have this for dinner, or whatever it might be? Or would Luke deal with that?
Luke does most of that. If there's anything really bad, like one day I went into the toilet and Jet had peed all over the wall.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, nope, this is a Luke thing. Like, I can't. Like, I don't know. Yeah. Like, I can't.
But that's also a boy bits kind of thing.
It's a boy bits thing. I only have girls.
Yeah.
Like, so I don't, he does, if it's anything bad. Yeah. He handles it, obviously. And I'll, honestly, if it's something really bad, I'll just leave it until he gets home. Like, if he comes over and if I pick him up from school and the teacher's like, Jet punched someone in the face today, which it doesn't happen, but I'm just saying, this is an example. I'd be like, okay, and then I wouldn't say it. I would maybe be like, oh, what happened, buddy? Like, why'd you do that? And maybe talk to him about it, and then would wait till Luke gets home and be like, this is what happened, what do you think? And we'd talk about it together and come up with a plan together. Yeah.
So Taylor_fam_bam asks, does your partner ever get jealous about your co-parenting with your ex?
No, never. It's just not, probably because we don't have a whole lot of co-parenting going on.
Yeah, like let's say you had a really great relationship with your ex. Do you think that Luke would potentially be jealous of that?
I don't think so. I don't think at all. Although in saying that, when my ex and I first split, we'd planned on being so amicable to the point where I was going to go to his house and watch Talia during the day instead of him needing daycare. Right. So that's the point where I was at before everything went south with him. And I think that would have made him uncomfortable. I've actually talked to Luke about it, and I was like, do you think that...
Do you want any more of this one?
No, I'm okay.
Thank you.
I've actually spoken to Luke about it and said, do you think that would have weirded you out? And he's like, yeah, I think so. He's like, that's not normal. So I don't know whether jealous is the correct term, but there's just certain lines that you draw together that you're comfortable with as a couple. And I think maybe going to his house during the day was a bit...
Yeah, no, I think... but also, that's going out of your way quite a lot.
Yeah.
Where
yeah.
you might do that if there was hope... Can you hear the crackling?
Yeah.
You might do that if there was hope for your relationship together to get back together.
Yeah.
But because there's another person in the picture, yeah, you're right. It's like so weird to go to someone else's house. And that might be what you have as a blended family have agreed all together to do. Mm-hmm. But in most cases, I would say that's pretty unusual.
Yeah, well, the main reason I was even considering it is because he hadn't been in her life for the first year and she didn't know who he was. So I felt like it was, well, not that she didn't know who he was. It was just like, it's a big transition. She only saw him on FaceTime and then all of a sudden he's living here out of the screen. You know what I mean? So it was more of for her to be like, Mummy's still here, like, I'm still existing.
A great way
like,
of
you know what
doing
I mean?
it, yeah.
But it just, once I met Luke, everything went
Which
downhill.
is completely normal. I mean, that's bound to happen when you've got
Yeah.
a new relationship. It's kind of like setting those boundaries because it's about comfortability for both of you as well.
Can we talk about jealousy on my end?
I was going to ask you that.
So there has been moments where I have been jealous with Luke being in such a good co-parenting relationship with his ex-wife.
Which is interesting.
Probably said her name in this video.
Because there's two different types of jealousy. There's the jealousy that you have of their co-parenting, but there's also the jealousy of their previous relationship. Do you know what I mean? There's two different...
I'm mostly jealous of the fact that they have such a good co-parenting relationship. And it annoys me because I'm like, why can't I do that with my ex-husband?
Yeah.
Like, why can't... And it's so easy for them. They send a text message and they'll sort it out and it's done. Whereas I have to go through this whole process and try and figure out how I'm going to ask him. And that's the main jealousy thing for me is like, I wish I could...
Not that they're going to get back together, but you wish that you had that with,
But they've been apart for a lot longer. Like, they've been apart for like 4 years or something like that. It's you know, there's nothing there. But Katia FPR asked, do Luke's kids talk about their mum a lot to you, and how does it make you feel? This one's surprising, actually, for me. They do, obviously, talk about their mum. It's their mum. And they like to test boundaries. They like to... oh, Mum didn't let me, blah, blah, blah. And they'll, like, complain about her.
Right.
And they'll, like, test the water to see how you react to it.
Right.
And every single time, you have to side with the parent.
Yeah, of
That's
course.
just how it is. They're testing to see. And I always go, well, obviously she has a reason for that. Like, she's your mum, you need to listen to her and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And that surprised me. Like, when I wasn't expecting... And they're so smart. Kids are so smart.
Ordinary.mum asks... and this is the last question, by the way, because we've been filming for ages.
A long time.
The edit's going to be so fun. Her.ordinary.mum asks, how do you handle the why do I have two families question when your child asks? I suppose Tilly wouldn't have asked that yet, but
no.
Has Luke's kids asked?
I feel like nowadays it's very different because it's so common to have that. I feel like back in the day it would have been a bit more confusing, but so many kids have two families and so many kids don't have their parents together that it's kind of becoming normal, if that makes sense. So there's not really questions about it because the kids can talk about it amongst themselves at school because they're you know, their best friends' parents are split up or whatever. So, and also because Jet was so young when it happened, that's all he's known. Like, he doesn't remember his parents being together. He doesn't remember them splitting up. And so there is no questions. And I was exactly the same because my parents split up when I was 3.
Right.
There was, even though back then it wasn't as heard of, I didn't really know any better. So it wasn't something I questioned. Even though I saw all these other families together, that probably had a lot to do with the fact that my mother was a horrible person and I didn't want her in my life. But I haven't had to deal with that question yet from either of the kids. Like, neither of them have asked it. But Lily's 10. She's really switched on. She's a very intelligent little girl. She knows, like, she understands everything and she remembers her parents splitting up because she's older.
Yeah.
So she does speak about them splitting up every now and then. She'll mention, actually the other day, she said, we were at school today and we had to write down one thing that impacted our lives in a big way. And I was like, oh, really? What did you put? And she said, my parents divorcing. And I was like, yeah, that's a big one. And I was like, and that's something that a lot of families go through. But it's very big and it's very impactful. Like, that's what I said to her.
Yeah.
So it wasn't so much a question, but she's very aware that her parents aren't together.
And I think it's a good point that you make too, that, you know, if you're old enough to go through it, then it's going to be more impactful to your life. Mm-hmm. Whereas I don't remember my mum and father being together. However, that didn't mean that I didn't question it. I think because I'm pretty sure, I never asked why we had two different families, because mum was obviously very transparent about him leaving us, and that if he wanted to be in our lives, like, the door's always open, like that sort of thing. So there was never a doubt in my mind that, well, you know, it was my father's fault because he's the one that left my mum, not the other way around.
Yeah.
And mum would have, you know, we would have most likely been a family if it wasn't for my dad. So there wasn't a question of, well, why aren't we together? Because it was very abundantly clear why we weren't. But I had a question of, which played on me for many years, and we ended up getting it legally changed. But why? Because I felt uncluded. Is that the word? What's the word I'm thinking of?
I don't know.
What is the word? I guess I just didn't feel part of the family unit. We'll just go with that. Because I had a different surname. So mum got remarried and took my stepdad's name.
Okay, I see.
And then all the kids that were born to my mum and dad then had Cooling as their surname. And so I was Reed. And I was like, I had a lot of questions about that. I was like, well, because mum always used to make it sure that I knew, like, we're a family no matter what, like, you know, it's not about who your dad is, like, dad loves you, like, it gets very confusing because I use dad terms for both, but, like, regardless of who my father is, my dad loves me, and, like, you know, we're part of the unit and that sort of thing. But I always felt rejected because I didn't have the same surname. So I ended up, like, telling mum, like, mum said to me, she asked me, she's like, if you want, we can get your surname changed and you can be a Cooling if you want to be. And I ended up saying, yeah, I want to be. Like, I don't want to be attached to this person that doesn't want me in my life. Like,
it makes me feel really sad for Talia because she's going to be the only one in our household that doesn't.
She might not feel the same way,
but
though.
She's obviously in her dad, like, her dad wants to be.
Exactly, and that's where it's different. Whereas I felt attached to a person that didn't want me or love me. You know what I mean? Where it was like, I would have probably felt completely different if my father was actively in my life. And also the fact that even though I did see him in my younger years, it wasn't positive experiences when I was there. So for me, that name was a negative connotation. Like, it was a negative thing.
I get that.
So it was almost like, because the way I saw it was, my father wasn't my family. My family was who I lived with 24/7, and I occasionally saw my father. Mm-hmm. So that's why I felt like I never belonged anywhere. Yeah. Whereas, like, Talia's going to have a completely different situation where she's got two parents that love her dearly, and she's going to feel like she's got two places she belongs. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like doubled for her, whereas for me it felt like thinned out, I guess. Like, the love, I was like, well, I'm just on the outskirts of this family, and you guys are your unit.
That's so sad.
Yeah, it was tough. Well, that's another mukbang over, guys. I can't believe it. That one went really fast, but also I feel like we've talked forever.
Yeah, I do not envy you for having to. I
think we've got like an hour and a half long video, but oh well. If you guys are enjoying how long they are, leave them down in the comments. Let me know that you like it this length. But of course, as always, thank you so much for coming on my channel.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Oh,
it was so much fun.
Yeah, it was so much fun, and the food was bomb. Yeah, like, seriously.
It's great. I've never had a problem with Taco Bell.
No,
like,
apart from forgetting the nachos. But otherwise, the food is delicious. Yeah. As I said earlier, I will leave our links down below. Go check Courtney's, I was going to say content out, but her channel out.
And content, I guess.
And content. Yeah, go say hi to the family over there and over on Instagram as well. And make sure you go down, hit the thumbs up while you're down there. and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.